Okay, design guy. This is nothing more than an elaboration of Hungary. Okay, going to do a lot of conditional actions on this. Conditional actions are what separates Captivate from most stuff and things. So really enjoy this. Really try to understand it because it's going to be a great folio piece. You know, if you open this up and talk to somebody about it, how you know conditional actions in Captivate, it's going to be great. Just to clarify some things real quick, I'll put this in an email as well. I do not want you to do just one minuscule little section of this project. Okay, I want you to do the whole thing. I'm going to go ahead and blanket statement that for the rest of the session. We'll start something, we'll go ahead and finish it. I'm going to send an example. What I'd like you to do is put a story behind this. It doesn't have to be as elaborate as the example I send, but I would like there to be a story so this has some purpose and it's not this random standalone thing. A couple slides as to why you're going to be dressing this naked fella. That's about it. Okay, so let's get started here. So I have my first one. I'm going to go ahead and create states for this one. Just like we did in Hungary, you know how I uploaded everything already on there? So that means it's in our library. You can see that everything is in the library over here on the right. So that makes creating states a lot easier. Good thing to have states here, just like we did in that last thing. We need to create that book, right? So I'm going to go on to this head slide. I'm going to cruise on over and click on it. I do not want this to be a specific name. I want it to be a book, and then the chapters will be specific, right? So I named it Head Options. Name it what you want, but just know that it has to be very generic, so that way the inner stuff can be specific. So I'm going to go to State View now. I have it normal. I'm going to add a state, and I'm going to call it Snide. And that's going to be the one we're on. I'm going to add another state, and you saw the faces were, I'm going to say sad, then add a state, I'm going to say gasp. Okay, we're good. So I'm up here, and I need to change sad to sad, so I click on this, go to style, snide. I'm going to look for, what is it again? Sad head, okay. Of course, it's too big, so go back here, my options. 354, 679. Options 354, 679. So 354, 677. Close enough. Coming down here, we change this to gasp. Go on style, click on my head, look for gasp, gasp, gasp. Okay. Obviously, I have to change that. That was 354. And we're good. So these two are beautiful. Look at that, look at that, look at that. And then I come up here and the head moves a little bit, you see? So I got to mess with the numbers on that. So on my snide one, I am going to, let's see, 9, it's going to get weird, so I'm going to do 342. Something like that. Okay, cool. Whoa. All right, so you see here, there is very little, if any, jump, right? So that's what you want. You only want the facial expression to change. Well, later when we get into the shirt, you only want the shirt to change. I don't want to see it bouncing around. Your X and Y, your box should be spot on. It's one of the reasons I made it this big, so we can be really specific and it looks nice and clean, okay? So there we go. I got snide, I got sad, I got gas. So I got my states. We're good. I got this labeled well. I wonder if, do I have to change the size of that one too? Did I not do that well, did I? Oh, you know what? I'm going to come back to that, and I'll share with you something we're going to do there. So head, okay. So now what do I need to do? I'm going to do some buttons. So interactions, I'm going to put a button on the stage, put it up here. I think I made a star. Yeah, head button. And there we go. So I got my button. And I'm going to change the name of that to snide as my expression. Right? Then I'm going to do whoa. I'm going to put this on here, and it's going to be sad as my next one. Sad. And then I'm going to do the final one, which is gasp. So now I have my buttons, okay? This is not beautiful, but whatever. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that because that's what it said. So my Y is, I'll put at 200. And my X is 35. 35 and 35. Okay, so those are lined up nice. Nothing to worry about. I'm going to go ahead and box them so they don't look like they're just hanging about. You can do whatever you want here, right? So I'm not trying to do anything that's saying this is required. I just like to kind of do little stuff and things. Design is kind of important in everything that we do, so why not take it serious, right? So a little something like that. And I do not like the color, so I'll just do a light orange. There we go. Good to go. Perfect. Beautiful. I don't need to group that or anything because my most important thing here are my buttons. Next thing I want to do is I want to kind of put a little not user interface, but like just some usability into this, just so the learner can see if they have options, they know how to change it, and all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and next I'm going to kind of create this "Are you sure?" button. Or just kind of giving them options. What I'm going to do is put a whole box around this. I am going to get rid of the stroke. I don't need that. I'm going to send the opacity down, let's say 70, 60. Not much difference, but yeah. So the good thing about putting a box on here is I won't be able to click anything underneath, I don't believe. But now I'm going to go ahead and put, is that dark enough? Yeah, I'm doing that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it in here, actually, is, well, I'm going to put the text in here, so I want to create variables. And I did that already. I'm going to go up here and say variables. What you want to do is you know how to create variables, but one of the mistakes that was made in Hungry is we made too many variables sometimes. I set it up where you wanted to have a main choice, a side choice, and then a drink choice. So you really should have only had 3 variables that you were calling to. Same in this situation. You can see over in our screen here, we're going to choose, first the head, we're going to choose a hairstyle, then we're going to choose a shirt and then pants. So you should only really need 4 variables, and that's what you see reflected here: hair, head, pants, shirt. Right? So we're good. So I'm going to hit close, and then I'm going to just click right in here and say, you chose, and then I'm going to do $, and then we're in the head, so I got to make this say head, $. And then I'm going to put a comma in there, say, are you sure? With a question mark. And that'll make sense here in a moment. Let me just go ahead and make this actually legible. Do not like that font. There's Arial, Arial, now, sure. So I do have that in there. And now, once I have that, are you sure? Now I need to give them some options, right? So I'll go ahead and put some buttons on here. And I'll keep my style the same. What the heck? Here's our head butt. I'll put that on this side, and it's going to just say continue. Continue. Make it look a little bit better. Cool. Then I'm going to make another one. TV. And that one's going to be called, whoa. I'm going to call that one change, right? So basically they've made an option, they don't like it, so I'm going to call it change. But the cool thing is you can still see it, so you'll be able to know here. And aesthetically this might not be the best, but what I want to show you is just, again, that whole kind of UX stuff, so you can get that user experience. I do not want that to be, I'll just use like a lighter orange for that one. Change. So first and foremost, now that we have this on here, we're going to have to go ahead and group it, right? Because I want to show and hide this together. Because my text is in the shape, I don't need to select that. I just need to select these 3, right-click, go to group, and we're good. So now I can click on this and actually name my group. I'm going to call it continue underscore options, and we're good. What I want to do now is I don't want it to show right away, right? So A, I'm going to hide it up here, not visible in output. Hiding it up here is exactly what you think. They're not going to see it as the user. Hiding it down here means I'm not going to see it in the developer, which, as you can tell, I don't want to see it right now because I need others to do other things. So I'm going to close that X. So now I got my buttons. I have 3 buttons, and we know how to do this, so I'm just going to go through it real quick. All I'm going to do is click on my button, go to Actions, and then go to Advanced Actions, right? Underneath Advanced Actions, I'm going to name this one, as you know, I'm going to call it Snide Chosen. Oop. And all of the things that I need to do, we're going to go in here. So the first thing is, we know that I want to assign that variable. So I want to assign the variable head with something literal, and in this case, it's going to be snide. Capital S, snide. Next thing I want to do is change the state. So I'm going to go to change the state of head options, right, because we made that book, and choose the chapter snide. So far, so good. And then, of course, I want to show. So I'm going to go to show. I want to show the continue options so they know what's going on, right? All looks good to you. All looks good to me. So now when I preview this, I'll just say from the slide, I got this going on. Of course, we're not going to see snide because of that, but you can see that this showed up. I can continue, which default is that, and then change, which hides everything. Again, I didn't do any of those codes, so of course I got to go back here and continue. What do I want continue to do? Right, go to next slide, which is defaulted, and then change. I want that son of a gun to hide, and then of course I want it to hide the continue options. I do not want to continue playing because I want to stick here, so I'm going to do that. Now, one thing you notice when I previewed this is that snide look is already there, right? So I can't even tell. And goodness gracious, it keeps making that click sound. That is awful. That is on me. I'm going to go to disable click sound, apply to all items of this type, and hand cursor. Rookie mistake, silly. Rookie mistake, but you see that it went up. Okay. So one thing that I'm going to do is, especially when you come cruising through here, you don't want the user to see their first option, right? So I know it seems weird, but basically I don't want there to be a head here, right? Because I want to be able to click through these and see what it's going to look like. So I'm going to go back into my state view. There's a multitude of things that we can do, all of which are kind of ignored. What I'd really like to do is have it blank and then set it to default, but Captivate won't allow. Maybe it does in 2017, please let me know, but it just, for some reason, it doesn't allow. So what I like to do is check my X and Y again, so I know what everything here is on this is written down. So I have this. I'm going to go to this top one. I'm just going to move this off stage. But you see, the moment that I did that, the ones that when I did a duplicate also moved off. Yeah? So that's super weird. We're not into that already. So I have to go ahead and get that in my correct X and Y, which looks like it was somewhere around 106. So what would be 106? 106 and 43, I think it was. There we go. So then I got to do the same for this. That is if you do duplicate. If you did it any other way, you wouldn't have to do it. But for some reason, when they're just attached to that first default, could be different in 2017. I don't know. But just make sure everything is good. It looks like everything is lining up, so we're fine. But now, the beauty is when I exit this, there's nothing there. See that? So now when I go to preview it, next 5 slides, it makes a little bit more sense because I'm given options over here, but there's nothing here. You see? And I'm just going to click on snide now, and then you can see my head came up. I can give it a shot, and you know what? I don't like it, so I'm just going to hit change, and which is fine. It's still here now, so now I can go through my other ones. Okay? So I'm simply going to do that by clicking on SAD now, going to Execute Advanced Action, opening up snide, and this all is the same, except the little couple things changing, so I'm just going to go to Duplicate, And I'm going to say sad chosen, S-A-D. Assign head with snide, no. I'm going to assign head with literal sad, S-A-D. Change state of head options, and of course I know I'm changing it to sad. And this one remains the same, okay? Update action, okay. Duplicate again, because I know I need it for gasp, so while I'm in here, I might as well go to gasp. Assign head with not sad, but change it again to gasp, capital G. Change state of head options to what? Gasp. And then that remains the same, so update action. Okay. Now I know after I make my actions, I have to go assign it, so execute this with sad, and then come down to gasp and say execute advanced action with gasp, so we're okay. Now I should be able to preview this beautifully. Preview, next 5 slides. And snide. There it is, snide. You know what? I want to change it. I want to do sad. There it is. What? That does not look very sad. And then, of course, I'm going to go to gasp. And there he is, gasping. And that change makes sound. It's on me. My bad. Why did it not say the clips on the hand cursor? Okay, cool. Okay, so you get to the point. There we go, right? Here comes, not the tricky part, but here comes the part that needs to kind of be your organizer for this particular project. There's no reason to reinvent this wheel of the states and everything that we did with this head, right? So when I go to hair down here, I have all this going on, which is fine, right? But I want my head to be showing when I get to this one. I want the head to be showing in the state that I chose. So I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to grab my head. I'm going to right click, I'm going to copy. Then I'm going to go to hair and I'm going to paste it. Now here is the most important part. This is fantastic, right? So I put it on here, but because this is JavaScript, and because it's object-oriented coding in the background, you can see when I copied and pasted that, it went from head options to head options underscore 23. I don't know why I picked 23, but what I'm going to do is align it with the slide. So right now I'm on slide 3, so I'm just going to say head options 3. And the reason that makes all of that sense is this head needs to be now on all of them, right? So all I'm going to do is copy that. Let's see. Come down here to the next slide where we're going to be choosing the shirt, and I'm going to change it to head options 4. Okay, and this will make sense momentarily, and then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say head options 5. And then, of course, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do the final one, Command V, and that is going to be head options 6 and or head options final. Entirely up to you how you want to do that. But you're going to want to do that. The moment that your states are set, as I did here, go ahead and put them in a cascading style all the way throughout. Okay? So that way, when we go to change the state of these in our conditions, it happens all the way through. Okay? So here we go, we're good to go. Snide, sad, gasp. When I come to here, I can click on this. I'm going to check my state view, and you can see it's all there. Snide, sad, gasp, everything that I want is fine. So I'm going to go to my actions now. I'm going to go to on enter, execute advanced action. We'll do a new one. And I am going to do a conditional action because I have to do it in 2009. What you're going to have to do, you know, is to now toggle that little checkbox there to get to this conditional actions. And I'm going to call this, and this should work just fine. I'm going to call this choices. I'm going to call this snide. I'm going to call this sad. And I'm going to call this gasp. So here's what we get to do now. So I'm going to say if the variable, all stuff we've done before, is equal to literal. So what did I say? Snide, capital S. I want to change the state of, and here it is, see options. So head options. I don't want to do it to head options because that's on the slide previous. I want to do it on head options 3 because I'm on slide 3. Then I'm going to say snide. Also now though, we already know, because we did that cascading aspect and put that instance on the subsequent slides, I can also say change the state of head options 4 to snide. Change the state of head options 5 to snide. And then change the state of head options 6 to snide. So we're good, right? So if you think about it, we now make one decision on slide 2 and it cascades all the way through to the end. Oh, goodness gracious. I did it under the gasp one. Snide. This will be gasp. So I'm going to do the same thing here for sad. If the variable head is equal, literal sad, let's say do. Change state of head options 3 to sad. Change state of head options 4 to sad. Change state of head options 5 to sad. You're getting the point, I presume. Change state of head option 6 to sad, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and copy all these now, because I need to do it one more time to gaps. So if the variable head is equal to literal gasp, capital G, now just paste. So I can just put gasp now on all of these. We're good. So choices, save as action. Let's see if this works. So I'm here. Now I'm going to come here and do preview project. There it is. Go to the next slide. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm going to do sad. So there's sad. I'm going to hit continue. Of course. Oh, boy. Assign your advanced action, right? Goodness gracious. So here I am. I'm going to sad. You can see my face. I'm going to change it to gasp. And continue. There's gasp. When I go to the next slide, there's gasp. When I go to the next slide, there's gasp. When I go to the next slide, there's gasp. And then gasp. So as you can see, what we're going to do is mimic and build this as we go out. The most important thing that you want to remember in this is when we create this state and then you continue to copy and paste it onto the other slides, be mindful of the name, right? So again, head options 3, you have to change that, and you also have to change that in your advanced action and conditional statement, okay? So hair, I'm not even going to waste too much time on this. Well, not waste time, but I'll hide that. Of course, that's called mop hair. I'm going to go ahead and put that into some sort of position for now, just to see what it might look like. Actually, you know what? I'm going to see this, so I'm going to put it on top of him. And make sure, you're going to have a good sense of this. I think I did it at 106, so I can put this however I want. So cool, right? And I want to keep it off stage, right? Because I want that first thing to be blank. I want to change it because I want to make it things, so I'm going to call it hair underscore woo. Options, hair options. Then I'm going to go to state view. And I'm just going to say new state. I'm not going to do a new state. I'm going to call it mop. But this time I'm going to put it at our thing, and I think I did 106. 106. Yeah. And it put it there in position where it was, but you can see my first one is still blank. So there we go, 106 mop. Wait, 106, I think it's there. Okay, cool. Now I can just add a new state. I'm going to call it Mohawk. And again, I'm just going to go to style. I'm going to change that. I'm going to look for that Mohawk. Okay. And there it is. I don't know if the size changed at all. We can change all of that once we get it into position. But I'm going to go ahead and put that at what, 6 like we have things. It's clearly too big, so what is mop sitting at size-wise? 354 by 848. That is, oh, yep, same thing, so 354. There we go. So now you're getting the point, right? So we're trying to put this in position of where the head is going to be. We know that because we're using X and Y. If you have another way, it's fine. But then, of course, you know that you're going to put the buttons on here, right? So you're going to have mop, mohawk, and then whatever you want to call the visor one. So that should give you a pretty good understanding of how this is going to go. Remember that you're organizing your variables. You're cascading it through by copying and pasting the states. And that's kind of the gist of it. So enjoy it and try to have some fun with it. Make it neat. Put a cool story behind it. Be comical. Be funny. Be serious. I don't care. But just have it have some purpose so it's not this random click on buttons. Okay? That is all.